Hey, welcome to another episode of Young Guns. I'm Guy Joubert with Wilson Combat and Team Wilson Combat, and we have Walt Proulx, who is also a member of Team Wilson Combat. He is one of our very competitive but senior members.
I am the senior member.
You are the senior member of the team, but he has had a lot of awesome experiences in life that will be entertaining to any age viewer of the show. And one of the coolest things, I think, of all the stories that I've heard is what your new day job is. And I say new, you've been at it for a while now.
Yeah.
But tell us about where you work at the range at Cameo in Colorado.
So I'm the general manager and developing designer of the Cameo Shooting and Education Complex in Grand Junction, Colorado. It's 1,800 acre shooting sports complex with action shooting on 28 bays. We've got short range rifle, long range rifle, sporting clays ranges, 5 stand, 4 3D archery loops. We've got what we call our LRP, which stands for long range precision rifle area. And that has ranges from 100 to 2,003 yards, shooting at all steel targets. 2003.
And 3.
Yeah, you can back up 2 yards and get 2005. Oh, so it's unique in all the country. There are some great ranges, to be sure. They all have a little different flavor, and I like to think that Cameo has all of the flavors. It's really truly a Disney World for shooters, and it's owned and operated by Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Right. And we started building in spring of 2018. We had a very ambitious build out, and we hosted our first sanctioned match there, an IDPA match, August 15th of 2018. Yep.
And I had the pleasure of going to the Disneyland for shooters and be a part of that first match, and it was a phenomenal match. Just that western central Colorado is just beautiful. It's a unique landscape, I would say.
High desert.
Yeah, and it's just beautiful. The sunrise and sunsets out there are amazing. I mean, the terrain and the geographic area is beautiful in itself, and then you have this huge playground inside this beautiful gift that God's given us.
It's where the angels sing.
Yeah. So I know, because I've been out there for that first match, and then every year you have a pretty substantial IDPA match. The last 2 years, IDPA Nationals has been at Cameo. What are some other kind of big marquee events that take place out there?
So we've had multiple big sanctioned USPSA matches. We've had the Surefire World Multi-Gun Championship there. We host now every year Doug Koenig's signature PRS match there. It's the Koenig-Ruger PRS match, and it's one of the AG Cup points matches for PRS, meaning it's one of those that you gather points by shooting for the national championship. We host a Girl and a Guns national conference there, which in 3 weeks is coming up again, and we'll have 800 women from all 50 states there for an entire week. The entire facility is taken up, and they'll have 58 different classes for all of those women to sign up for and take. I'll be teaching 2 classes. Austin will be teaching an Ultimate Hunter rifle class, and he's taught pistol classes there in the past as well. It's our biggest event. Last year we hosted in excess of 350 individual events, and that ranges from small local trainer events up to and including national and world level events. But it's an ambitious schedule during the summer. Right,
and not just shooting, as I understand. I mean, yes, that's a big part of it, but you guys have campsites, you have side-by-sides that you can rent and go up on the mesas and kind of tootle around, spend the day. Just a mecca of an attraction.
It's a pretty awesome thing to do and get paid for.
Yeah. Like I'm very jealous, and the guys and gals that volunteer out there are just phenomenal people.
The best.
And the guys with the Colorado state parks that are on site with you are stand-up guys and gals and just Great people, great staff. Do you guys have any blocks for like throwing knives, or are you guys still missing that?
No, we just throw knives out in the sagebrush. We're getting some blocks coming though.
Okay,
we got them on order.
Because that's from what you just rattled off. That's like the only thing like weaponized at a target that I didn't hear was hatchet or knife throwing. We
actually did do a competition one time that was at an awards banquet after a rifle match, where we wanted to do a fundraiser, and we were trying to think of what kind of shooting we could do at a barbecue where there might be alcohol consumed. So we ended up having a slingshot competition.
There you go.
And it raised a whole bunch of money for a veterans charity.
That's
and
awesome.
I mean, people jumped into that. You want to harken back to a childhood. You give somebody a wrist rocket and tell them they got to go find their projectiles out in the gravel.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Ball bearings, marbles.
Rocks. Had to be natural.
I know, but in a
you're harkening back to your, okay.
Yeah. A sack of marbles.
So yeah, we cater to almost every type of shooting sport that there is. Yeah,
that's awesome. Tell me about some of the stuff that you guys have done, like kind of unique and special. Like you guys had some skydivers one year.
Oh, several times. Yeah. So one of the things that we do from time to time is we'll have an electric guitar halfway up on the mountain playing through giant speakers with amplifiers with the national anthem, and the first time we did it, we actually had base jumpers go off of the cliff up behind the range, and anybody that was there would tell you it was a powerful moment. To hear it talked about is pretty cool, but when that's happening and you see the parachutes coming down and the flag flying, we got a gigantic flag, 80-foot pole with a 20 by 30-foot flag.
Yep.
There were grown men weeping in the bays that day. It was. It was powerful.
The hair on the back of my neck standing right now, just thinking about it. You guys have an Air Force base close by, and you've had flyovers.
So I can't tip my hat right now. We haven't had a flyover yet.
It's in the works,
but we've been working on it.
Okay.
That was how cool would that be?
Oh yeah,
right?
like that's like standing down on the
Just
sidelines of
Just
NFL.
Go home. Doesn't get any better.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're worried about.
Great prizes at the the awards for your matches that you have.
We had one just like that recently.
You did? The plaques that you guys have and hand out to the recipients after competitions are awesome.
Yeah.
And it's an easy place to get in and out of, travel-wise.
Easiest range I know of, and Austin and I, my son, we shoot at most of the ranges around the country. So we do a lot of traveling, flying and driving. And interestingly enough, the Cameo Shooting and Education Complex is 13 minutes from the Grand Junction Regional Airport. So you can fly in on American or United or a couple other smaller regional airlines. And from the minute you touch down, you're 1 minute from the hotels, you're 1 minute from the restaurants, and you're 13 minutes from the range. It's super convenient to get into. And it being a small regional airport in a hunting mecca like Grand Junction, they're used to seeing firearms at that airport. So they know what to do.
And that was one of the things I was going to bring up, because we travel a lot to shoot matches and things, and sometimes you run into TSA agents that are almost freaked out when you tell them you need to declare a firearm. Anytime I've ever flown in and out of Grand Junction, because like you said, it's a kind of a hunting capital. They're used to seeing firearms. You walk up to the counter and, hey, I need to declare a firearm, and let's get you squared away and get you on the plane.
Yeah, they're good about
it. And that's nice. And people that travel with firearms understand what I'm talking about with that inconvenience that you can run into at times, and you're not going to experience that at Grand Junction. But just a great place to go visit, even if you're not a shooter. But if you're a shooter, you've got to go check out the Cameo range that Walt and his team have designed and built, and this has been a phase process, and it's still not done.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. The biggest the biggest phase is yet to come, and it's the construction of a big visitor center and a major events banquet exhibition hall, if you will, that'll seat. It'll be a football field under roof. It'll seat 2,500 people.
Wow.
A natural history museum, indoor ranges, an eatery, a 4-acre bass pond. It'll have a native plant species botanical garden, a wetlands ecology park. So we'll have kids from the local school district coming out for day trips, field trips, and we'll have classroom space available for them, as well as basically a laboratory, if you will. And that part won't have really anything to do with the shooting part.
Right. Yeah.
It's just another extension of what Colorado Parks and Wildlife does. You know, the hope is that those kids will eventually grow up to be hunters and fishers, and
Yeah. And that'll also kind of, back to the firearms thing, it'll give you indoor classroom space for,
Correct.
Concealed carry or things of that
Absolutely.
nature.
Yep.
Awesome. You've done some training.
Mm-hmm.
You've been shooting for a long time.
Thank you.
And yes, I think that's an honor. I'm not
Long
knocking
time.
you. I'm not knocking you. So even myself, I feel like I'm 25 still, but I'm not. And, had some sports injuries and some bad knees and things of that nature. And I don't move as fast as what I once do. It hurts a little bit more when I do try to move as fast
I've
as
seen
I
you
once
move.
did.
You still move pretty fast for a big boy.
Thank you. Eyes are, they're
Yeah.
we just got older, like
You
every
know-
second. So tell us how you've been able to remain competitive, because you're still kicking hind end out there on the road, shooting matches and everything. How are you still maintaining that level of competitiveness as you continue to age?
I get asked that a lot. I've been pretty fortunate. I'm healthy and I'm athletic, and I always have been. And I always told myself I still felt 19. I said I
wasn't going to push it. I'm going to say 25.
I didn't think I was going to get old until I did.
Right.
And it started with I was doing some wiring under the dashboard of an old pickup that I had, and couldn't tell what the colors and the stripes were from looking at the electrical diagram. And my arms, because the dashboard was, my arms wouldn't go far enough for me to be able to see what the heck it was. And I didn't realize it for years. I had been holding things farther and farther away, and that's just part of the aging process of the eyes. And then they get to the point where it's not just this problem. The stuff at distance is now blurry, and it used to be where I could look at my rear sight, my front sight, and see the little tiny X on a B-27 target at 25 yards. And I thought that was normal. Turns out it's not. And now none of those are in focus for me anymore.
Right.
And so I've found that as I've gotten older, I've figured out ways to mitigate. You can't change it. You can't make yourself run faster. You can't make your eyes not be blurry. So what you end up doing is compensating. And I call them mitigative measures that I didn't develop. It just happened. And I know that all of the shooters, as they start getting older, and I've got a lot of friends that have gone through the same thing, and we've had great conversation about it. And they said, yeah, same thing happened to me. Another thing, other than joints and muscles and cramps and hands starting to get a little arthritic, it's cumulative and it just wears you down.
Right.
But then there's also the mental, and I'm still pretty sharp.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think as fast as I did, and I don't see as fast as I did. And that'll make sense to you in 15 or 20 years.
Yeah.
When I tell somebody, Jerry Michlik or Robbie Latham or some of the other folks that I know that are my age and some a little bit older, I don't see as fast as I used to, Robbie. And he says, "Ha, you too?"
Yeah.
They know exactly what you mean. And what it is I can come around a corner, and it used to be I could present and boom, immediately, because my mind was processing the instant my sights were on target.
Yep.
I still see them on target, but I can't make the connection between seeing it and translating all of the electrical pathways, the neural pathways, to decide when to break the shot. So there's a brief pause.
Yep.
And so one of the mitigative measures that I've discovered I've adopted is to be thinking as I'm coming into a position, okay, I've got to be ready and I know where the target is. And this is something that I should have been doing all along.
Well, yeah.
The best shooters in the world shoot sooner, not faster, meaning they're ready when they get there.
Yep.
Well, I wasn't doing that. I was making up by being fast as heck on all the rest of what I did, and being able to memorize a stage plan that quick and go shoot it.
Yep.
I didn't have to think about that stuff.
Right.
Well, then I started to struggle keeping up, and so I started focusing on little pieces of time that I could gain back. And one of those was to make up for not seeing as fast, being ready sooner, and thinking about my target and where I'm going to shoot it before I get there, and pre-planning as I'm running up to there.
Right.
Didn't used to have to do that. Now I do.
Yeah.
I need to be ready to leave a position sooner. Again, something I should have been doing all along.
Yeah.
maybe I could have been better earlier on, you know? Who knows? But so I'm struggling now. I'm playing catch up on that.
Right.
I'm doing stuff I should have been doing a long time ago. So for those of us that are at that point already, there is hope.
So this isn't just for those
It's
viewers
not.
out there that are already facing these struggles.
That's true.
This is for us younger guys. Like, listen to, the older I get, the more I realize how smart my father is. So take this moment and soak this stuff in, even if you're not having to deal with these things, because it will make you a better shooter anyway.
So my great example, my son Austin was watching me go through this, and he was actually there observing and listening to me gripe and then fix it. And I think some of that was rubbing off on him that, yeah, you know what? If Grandpa over there can be getting quicker at doing stuff right here, well, I can beat him if I'm thinking that same thing too. And so he's become the king of, I mean, sometimes he seems like he shoots before he's ready, you know?
Right.
It's all a cumulative effect of the mitigative measures to compensate for the cumulative effect of all of the physical and neurological things that are going on as I'm getting older. I give a lot of advice to folks that are my age and a little older. You know, how can you still do that fast? And I said, well, there's this and this and this and this, and they'll all work for you as well. Maybe not as well as they did for me, but they will make a difference. And lo and behold, it does. If they just focus on being ready when they come around a corner, it helps to offset that not seeing as fast. Right? That's probably one of the bigger ones. And the second big one that can cause a train wreck for me when it didn't used to is just cognitive recall. I used to be able to just look at a stage plan, and then I could just talk with people up until it was my turn to shoot and shoot my stage plan. I find that now I'm having to focus so hard on all those other elements that I can forget a stage plan. So when I get to a bay, I'll look at that stage and I'll plan it and I'll plan it and I'll just sit there and rehearse it over and over again in my head until I can't forget it, so that then I don't have to think about it again. I can focus on those other mitigative measures more exclusively.
Right.
And that has made a big difference. So when I get to a bay and if I'm the first shooter, I hope it's a simple stage. I really do. Draw, shoot one.
I always get standards. It never fails.
Well, I would take that.
Yeah.
That'd be all right.
Yeah.
Something that's really complex that you have to think of 4 different ways that you might need to shoot it. If I run out of ammo here, or if I take an extra shot there, where's my reload going to happen? And meltdown, right?
Yep.
I probably will do some classes with that exclusively as the intent, and primarily for, you know, folks that are starting to struggle with those issues. So for every physical or neurological thing you've got going on, there's something that you could be doing to help offset that.
Right.
Probably things you should have been doing before you ever got older.
Right.
But for sure now you're going to need to if you want to stay relevant.
Yep. So these things.
Yeah. What is that?
Things, well, it's a
glasses on your gun.
It's a pair of bifocals on your gun. These things are actually becoming more and more popular with all age groups.
Yeah.
You see them all the time. Carry guns, duty guns, military branches are incorporating some of these on their handguns. These things, I feel like, probably could be a game changer for when that eyesight starts deteriorating, regardless of how old you are physically.
That's one of the mitigative measures.
Yeah. And I know that because I shoot with you pretty regularly, that you've not gone here yet, but
it's coming.
My father, he's recently jumped to these things, and it's kind of rejuvenated him in shooting and the shooting sports to not beat himself up as bad about not being able to see those sight pictures clearly, where you've just got the dot and you superimpose it over the target and rock and roll. Because of the technology that the manufacturers of the carry optics are putting into it, and the research that they're doing is really going to help out people with deteriorating eyesight stay in the game longer and enjoy it longer than what maybe they used to in the past. And hats off to those guys. I don't know if that was their intention or not, but it's really helping.
I already can shoot far more accurately with a dot than I can with irons. It's not because of the mechanical superiority of the lineup. I still don't struggle with that part. It's purely the fact that I only have one focal point, and I can superimpose that in the middle of whatever I'm trying to hit more easily than I can lining up rear sights, front sights, and target.
Yeah.
If
One
my
less thing to
sights
think about too.
Right.
Yeah.
If my sights were still clear, I've been doing it long enough that I can hit targets a long ways off with real precision with iron sights.
Oh yeah.
So it's not the mechanical lineup thing or the steady or the trigger press thing. It's just merely the fact that when I look through iron sights now at something distant or really small, it's just a big blur. It's like looking through mashed potatoes. So without question, I'll be shooting a dot at some point. But I'm holding on for as long as I can continue to be relevant with iron sights.
Right.
Just because when the time comes where I've got to switch over, it'll probably be for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And people like you and my dad, because y'all have shot iron sight 1911s, don't try to take them. Don't try to take advantage of them, because they're still going to be hell on wheels on you even without the dot. So thanks for sharing those kind of suggestions with us. I learned something from that, of things that I'm not doing that I should be doing, even though I'm not having horrible deficiencies at this point, but they would make me a better shooter.
And I should have been doing it starting 30 years ago.
And I hope the viewers out there learned a thing or two, regardless of what age you're at, things that could help you if you are struggling, and things that you should be doing if you're not doing them, to make you a better shooter and a better competitor. And also those things transfer, like we said at the beginning, into training and into just normal range time. And then if you ever find yourself in a scenario where you are trying to defend yourself or others, those things are just going to become more natural if you're doing them in your practice sessions or in your competition arenas. Great stuff. Thanks for sharing about Cameo. All you guys out there, take the trip. It's worth it. It'll be a memory of a lifetime, and it's just amazing out there. Thanks for tuning in. Please post in the comments any topics that you'd like to hear from the shooting team or the young guns, and hit the like and subscribe button. Share these videos with all of your friends. Share them with your parents, your grandparents that are shooters, and maybe we'll learn some things that'll help them stay in the game.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Walt.